Line Entertainment. This was a early video, people, but I was trying to find the article about the disturbance at the Airbnb, which we reported uh, basically on the 17th, it seems. But like I said, it's really strange. I can't find the original article on there. I thought I saw it in the Daily Mail, and I'm positive that I saw it in the Chronicle somewhere. But like I said, I'll have to. Ali's quite busy at the moment, but I'll have to see whether we can dig that out because I know
Eyes
she keeps
and
me
a
up.
lip
I think he
injury.
did. I think he did. I think there was an altercation somewhere. And I think that Brandon, and a couple of them, I don't know who else, probably Lewis Kennedy and
Yeah.
Atunde, and they all probably had a little go at each other. I don't know. I wasn't there, but they all look pretty kind of fist heavy. And of course, we know Rocky's a boxer anyway, don't
Yeah,
we?
and the other thing is, as well, like I said, we know that Brandon hadn't said anything, and Lucy didn't show her face. Is it possible that she may have had bruises or gotten to an altercation when they?
This is just the audio, people talking about that disturbance of the morning where they were all arguing. And I was thinking that some of them, maybe Lucy, Brandon, and Brad, were told to do things from the older lot and they didn't want to do them, led to arguments and fighting. And I think that's where myself and Ali were talking about over 11 months ago now on this.
They all started fighting
Well,
or got.
you just don't know, do you?
No.
Brad, I think he's been pinning it all, to be honest.
That's quite
He's a
surprising.
boxer as well, isn't he?
Covers up because he looked as innocent as that. I don't think he is an innocent party. And if Jay was his best friend, he didn't look after him, did he really?
No. But I like I said, in this case, a lot of the correct, should I say, or true evidence was very, very early on in the case, and it was just like obviously picking it up because we've had to go back on a lot of stuff as well.
Going to move on to part two. That was myself and Ali Harris talking in the early days. I think it was only the audio, people, of basically the altercation that happened that morning. It was kind of weird because I saw an article that said they were fighting in arguments and the neighbours were alarmed, which was quite odd. But I can't find the article anymore, which is really, really weird. Going to move on to part two. And this is all I could find on it, basically the AA overview. I'll ask Ali whether she's got clippings or pictures of the old article on that. So this is the AA overview. And it says neighbours at the Airbnb where Jay Slater was last reported hearing shouting, but they did not feel threatened. Slater went missing after leaving the Airbnb on foot the morning of June the 17th, 2024, and heading in the wrong direction before his phone signal was lost. An inquest last concluded his death was accident resulting from a fall. I mean, this is quite bizarre now because, like I said, because obviously we've got the coroner's report, the wording of what this originally said had changed because the people that reported the altercation said that they were heard shouting, people fighting, and it alarmed them at the end of the day. I'm wondering whether they called the police, but they definitely reported it to news articles not long after. Airbnb residents near the Airbnb, the remote village of Masker, reported hearing the disturbance and people shouting, though they do not witness any direct confrontation and felt there was nothing strange about the situation. That is odd because it didn't sort of state that earlier on in the case. That is really, really bizarre. Slater was last seen leaving the Airbnb on foot, intended by walk back to Los Cristianos, where his friends were staying. His phone was on 1% battery, wrong direction. Instead of heading south towards Taurus area, Slater went north, deep into the rural park de Teno, where his phone last signal was recorded. And obviously, the conclusion of the inquest, after extensive search, Slater was found dead in a ravine. The inquest concluded, and his death was accident, ruling out foul play. But that's really strange. because, like I said, I can't really find the original article. What we got to remember is that Ali did talk to a waitress, basically on that morning of the 17th. That sorry, not that morning, but like I said, she was talking to a waitress who confirmed that there were 2 cars, 7 people all together going back to the Airbnb. Who knows? There could have been people already there at the end of the narco headquarters. But it is really bizarre how this article that originally come out was completely different to the one that I read early on in June. But like I said, I will definitely try my hardest to dig out the original article because, like I said, I remember the neighbours being very disturbed about basically the fighting and the argument. But like I said, this AI overview seems to be toned down, and I think it's because of the coroner's report. Let me know what you think, people. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.